Hey all, Tom Moran here from Tom's Big Spiders. Today we're going to be talking about the Poecilotheria formosa, or Salem ornamental tarantula. This is a fast-growing arboreal species from India. It is an old world species, meaning that you can expect a spider with, in the very least, a shy to skittish temperament, and it means that they pack very potent venom, so this is one you want to play around with. Anyway, this is an update that many people have been waiting for. As most of you know, back in June of 2021, my Poecilotheria formosa had a terrible molt in which she lost both of her pedipalps. She had her skin stuck to her carapace, to her abdomen. It was just a disaster. And I made the decision to try to nurse her back to health. She was eating. We did a couple feeding videos showing how she improved. And I was keeping my fingers crossed, and I think a lot of you were keeping your fingers crossed that this one would pull out of it and do well. Well, she molted, and let's just say it didn't go as well as we all would have hoped. So this is going to be the update. I'm going to stop talking now. Let's get in and check in on my Poecilotheria formosa. All right, so here we are with a much anticipated molt update for my P. formosa, and unfortunately it's not a good update. I came up to the tarantula a couple days ago and noticed that she was starting to lay down a molt web over here, a molt mat. You see right over here, and got excited because this was the moment we've been waiting for, to see if she'd be able to molt out of the difficulty she had last time. Now, as you recall, last time she lost both of her pedipalps and had some really deformed legs on her right side. Well, unfortunately, if you look here, she is molted again, and you can see the mess of the molt right there. Initially, I came up last night, and I thought she had molted well. She seemed to be laying out and about, and the molt was on top of her, which I found to be a little bit odd, but I've seen that before where they molt and it kind of gets wrapped up in it. This morning, I pulled it out and opened up the enclosure and went to kind of check on her a little more closely and realized that all four of those legs, or all three of those legs, were still stuck in the molt. Those were the ones that were deformed, and unfortunately I did have a worry that because they were so deformed and pinched off that it could cause trouble the next molt. Well, as you can see there, unfortunately there are the stumps of the three legs. Now, I did not record this again because I was trying to work quickly and, you know, again, thinking about the welfare of the spider, but one of them was almost all the way ripped off when I found her, so I just pinched it off. Basically took a pair of tweezers and pinched it right at where it met her body, and she kind of just popped it right off. And then all the white that you see around here is actually cornstarch, because what I did is after I pinched off each leg and she popped them off, which allowed me to remove the whole molt, I went in with a Q-tip, and there's our cornstarch over there with the Q-tip still in it. I will not bring this back down for Billy to use. Went around with the cornstarch and made sure I dabbled it on each of those areas right in there where the legs had been removed. So unfortunately, once again, another bad molt from her, although I do have, I'm really holding out hope in this case that what's going to happen is she will again be able to eat. We'll have to see. We'll give it a few days. I'm hoping to see her kind of liven up a bit and be able to eat like she did last time. And then this time there should be nothing stopping her from healing up those other legs, growing those other legs back, and having a good molt. Now, I don't know if you can see in here, if you look closely, you can see one of the pedipalps that is growing back. It's a little bit smaller than it was before. When they do regenerate their legs, they're a little smaller. It's kind of like when you get a flat tire in a car and you get the little donut. They get the little donut legs. So she has two little donut pedipalps, so at least those grew back. And she does have one leg on this side, which should allow for some decent mobility. I hope we'll see how it goes. Now, as far as the enclosure, I know what's going to happen is somebody's going to come on and go, that's not the right enclosure for that. That's an arboreal species. I am fully aware of that. She was in an arboreal setup, and then when I found her with the last molt all messed up, I put her on some moist paper towels with a water dish so I could A, keep track of her, B, keep her nice and, keep the moisture level up in that enclosure, and also make sure that she is able to find food. And then what happened is, as she started fattening up a bit, I did give her some substrate because it was easier, honestly, with the substrate. I could pour some water in, keep it nice and moist. Again, keep the moisture up in there, a water dish, some moss, and make it feel a little more, for lack of a better term, homey for her. So we will probably keep her in here for the time being. I don't foresee her doing a lot of climbing, and quite frankly, in the situation that she's in right now, the condition that she's in right now, she's not going to be able to do any real hunting. So we will keep her in this so that I can again wound crickets, drop them in front of her, and hopefully she'll take them and eat them. So again, not a great update, not not the update I was hoping for. Last night I jumped the gun, ran down, told Billy she molted, it's all set, can't wait to do this video. Checked on her again and was just heartbroken to see that she has obviously struggled again. So I'm going to hope that she is able to pull through. If it doesn't look like she's going to be able to eat, if it looks like she's going to be wasting away or suffering, then it might be time to discuss euthanasia. We're not there yet. I'm holding out hope, but we'll see how it goes. So unfortunately, for those of you who've been asking, it didn't go much better this time. The last time she lost 2 pedipalps. This time it's 3 legs. Fingers crossed she's able to pull out of this one. So here we are about 2 weeks later. Now, sadly, I'd called Billy up because I wanted to try to feed her and get it on video. And as soon as I dropped the roach in, there was nothing for about 5 to 10 minutes. Poor Billy was sitting there with the camera. There was no response. However, after she went back downstairs, I grabbed the camera up. I'm like, I don't want to miss this if she does eat. And so we have this footage here. Now, if you'll notice in just a moment, she's going to finally start to show a little interest in this roach. I think she was a little off because I usually feed her crickets. Sometimes when you switch up prey items, you get a reduced feeding response, and there, it grabs it up. She's eating it. You can see those new little pedipalps in action, which I thought was awesome because we had a hard time getting video of this last time. But she is obviously limited in her mobility, and I don't foresee her doing any climbing again, as I said earlier in the video, so that's why we have her in the terrestrial set. But if you notice there, you can see where she lost those 3 legs, and they have closed up completely, dried up, they're not leaking, which is great. I also caught her drinking water I poured some water on that webbing, and she was actually drinking the water from the webbing, which is awesome as well. Funny thing is, I did catch her the other night perched kind of on the side of the enclosure. It was an awkward stance. It didn't look quite right, but she was trying to go back to her arboreal tendencies. And again, I'd love to give her a little more room to climb, but I think that she's going to find hunting difficult. And the object at this point is to make sure that once again, she gets what she needs to eat, she has the correct moisture levels, and that hopefully next time we get a better molt out of her. The only thing I noticed when rewatching this video here was that back left leg seems to be a little bit, I can't tell if it's because it's unbalanced or if there's something wrong with the leg, but we'll keep an eye on that. But there she goes, she's eating. She's eaten 3 more times since then, and I have high hopes that she's going to completely recover. Now, since this video was shot and edited, she's actually eaten 2 more times. She's eating well. She is incredibly mobile considering the fact that she is missing those 3 legs on the other side. Again, right call by not putting her in a boreal enclosure because I am afraid she'd try to climb and possibly hurt herself. At the very least, she wouldn't be able to locate food very easily, and that's what we want to make sure that she's doing is eating. Now, I will obviously keep folks updated. I know with the last one, there were a lot of folks, usually once or twice a week, somebody would come on and ask how she was doing, and I kind of waited to put this video up because I wanted to make sure she was doing okay. After the fact, I will definitely keep folks updated. Maybe we'll do another feeding video with her, but it did take her several months to molt last time, so I got a funny feeling that it's going to be, fall or Christmas time by the time she molts again. Hopefully at that point, those 3 legs come back. Hopefully there are no other issues. If there are, we'll have to see how it goes and deal with it then. Now, as far as molting issues, every time I put up a video like this, I get a lot of folks that are new to the hobby that freak out that their spider is going to have a terrible molt. I can tell you I have hundreds of spiders and I don't have very many molt issues. One of the biggest contributors to bad molts is not enough moisture. I've seen a lot of stuff out there with folks that have these mysteriously bad molts, and when you look at the enclosures, they don't have water dishes, they don't have access to water, or they have dry substrate, and it may be a species that needs that moist substrate. Also know that if your tarantula is in pre-molt, that's a point where you want to make sure they have access to water, and you make sure that part of the substrate, if it's not an arid species, is moist at all times. You'll often see that the tarantulas, when they are in pre-molt, will seek out those moisture areas. Now, another thing that can contribute to bad molts is an older or elderly spider. A lot of spiders end up dying in their final molts when they get older, so that's something to keep in mind. This spider isn't all that old, so I don't know if it was that. She did reach adulthood within about 1.5 years, and she's about 8 years old now, so kind of young for a Poecilotheria species, so not quite sure what contributed to the bad molt. This time it was obviously those pinched off legs. Hopefully, again, next time it'll go much better. So that will do it for this one. As always, if you liked it enough to subscribe, very much appreciate. Click the little circle right up in here. If you want to check out some more videos, they'll be over there, right around in here. If you take the time to comment, I will take the time to respond. I'm trying to be really good with the comments and keep track of them, but no, I do get a lot of them, so it can take a couple days. That'll do it for this one, guys. Stay safe. We'll catch you all next time.